I don't understand this. How can a
Yeah, so
country
the government
A
was trying to shift there.
can country A do farming in country B? Is that I is that allowed? I don't
Yeah,
exactly understand
it's something that, yeah, it's allowed. It's within, that's what we call interregional, the transfer of technology from one region to the other region. So I saw Kenya, because Kenya, 3/3 of Kenya is a desert. It's a place that need high investment cost to initiate those irrigation scheme. So they are trying to see, to initiate this irrigation scheme will demand a lot of capital. But this country, they cannot afford that capital. So sometimes they choose, the way I decided to choose to move to the southern part of Tanzania to farm, because of the rainfall, because I can farm even where I am. But the rainfall is very uncertain. It's something that this season it can come, this season it might not. But if you go to those places, they do experience the rainfall throughout the year. So even Kenyan government, they choose to move to Zambia, where, because they know mostly part of Zambia, they do experience rain throughout the year. So the government was trying to engage these people. If they can farm there, then bring the food back home to Kenya. That's what they are planning. Other than that, they need to import food because of the climatical change.
And the laws are, this is a bit surprising to me. The laws are written in a way that you can farm for your own people in a third country. That seems a bit surprising to me
Yeah.
because doesn't that country need their land to provide food for their own people? That's why I'm just I'm a bit surprised.
Yeah, even even prior to having this kind of conversation with the Frederick and the entire team, I used to have a friend in Kenya, because Kenya is a good market, especially when it comes to farming. So I met that friend of mine in Nairobi, and we had a discussion that we can farm in his place. So it's something possible. We have intercommunities. You can find, the way I told you, Fred is in the other country, but we are from the same community. So that's what's bring us together, and that's what allow this kind of access that somebody can farm on the other country. I was having a certain research, because last year we experienced enough rainfall. So we had a surplus, according to the report. We had a surplus we produce at 128% nationwide. So my problem is that the surplus we sell to our neighboring countries. So I was trying to check before I meet you. I said, let me check the prices of rice to an ordinary person in Nairobi. It's the same as the price in Dar es Salaam. So I also went to I checked with somebody in Kigali, the same prices in Dar es Salaam. So I called somebody in Congo, the same prices in Dar es Salaam. So I was shocked. If we do sell in surplus, why is it that the price is the same? So the only thing I want to bring to your attention, you can see, I called somebody in Kigali. This is a person I know. We share a lot. I called somebody in Congo. It's somebody I know. I called the other person in Nairobi. I only had 3 countries to compare the prices. So I find we are in the same lane. We are walking in the same lane. So
And
you can see that interaction. So
are the national laws in such a way, or the interregional laws, that investment can flow between one country to another, that knowledge can flow? Are there
yeah,
restrictions? Is it quite free?
the restriction that comes out, there's a minor restriction. For instance, if I produce maize in the southern part of Tanzania, it's very cheap. But to take that maize, based on infrastructure, from southern part of Tanzania to Kenya, we better import that maize either from Brazil, because the cost of importing maize from Brazil to Kenya is cheaper than the cost of transporting maize from the southern part of Tanzania to Kenya.
How is that possible? To come from Brazil, they would have to ship it, they would have to transport it by ship across what, thousands of miles. How can it be less expensive?
That's the shocking story you can hear. I can tell you, to import, let's assume a rice or maize from Brazil to Kenya, is cheaper than to export maize from southern part. Where do they do where they experience a lot of rainfall to Kenya.
My question is, why is it more expensive to go from Tanzania to Kenya? Is it because of the state of the roads or the cost of fuel for trucks?
We have state of the roads, but on the other side also sometimes we have some custom duty that are not favorable for the I don't know how to call it, but it's not favorable for the locals. Especially I consider ourselves local people because we share a lot in terms of ethnicity and wherever. But the cost of importing something from Brazil to Kenya is cheaper than to ship something from southern part of Tanzania to Kenya.
So,
That
but
we have.
those kinds of reforms have to be done at a government at an intergovernmental level, though, right? To change the tariff system or to change the whatever the import or export tax system is, because ecologically it does not make sense to make it cheaper to export from a different continent than it does to export from a neighboring country, right? So those are probably things that have to be done at the government level.
Yeah, it's not only in terms of prices, but the cost of because of infrastructure, that's number one. But sometimes because of this internal taxes, there's a lot of taxes aligned with the locals that, especially if I want to move some cereal from Tanzania to Kenya, it involves a lot of issues. For instance, South Sudan, we are in the same region. South Sudan, they do experience hunger a lot because of this social conflict they are going through. So it's a very good market to import cereal. But the cost of transporting things from here, Tanzania to South Sudan, they better import something from either Brazil or America or India. It will be cheaper than importing something from Tanzania. You can see those kind of challenges. So it's something maybe the government, they need to sit down, but we have never seen them sitting down and trying to come out with the solution to these problems. So these are the things that we are trying to address and to see the way we can be interconnected and work as a team and move the way you said we need to move across Africa and see the way we can. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying anything needs to be done in any particular way. It just kind of logically, I was just trying to understand how it is. So I think I've heard this in other settings as well. So infrastructure development is something that, do you feel that's something
Yeah.
that needs to be done to have
It's
investment
something,
in infrastructure?
yeah, it's something that need a lot of investment, especially on the railway system, because we are using road. Road is a bit expensive. But if we have the railway system that we are interconnected in terms of railway, things will be cheap. But we are not connected in terms of railways.
Do you have a railway system that's pretty extensive in within countries, between countries in Africa?
We have only one from Tanzania to Zambia. Tanzania and Zambia.
How about Tanzania and Kenya?
No, we don't have.
Even though you're right next to each other.
No, we don't have railway. So it's now they're trying to work out. There's a plan, a lot of things people are trying to plan out, but we don't have as we speak.
That's interesting. This is obviously a little bit of colonial history, but the British in India, when they came to India, they created a
Yes.
very extensive railway system because they wanted to exploit and transport as many of our resources as they could from every part of the country to, to take back to their own country. But they didn't do that in Africa, build the
They
railway
do it to
system
some
so they could
part.
exploit it in the same way.
They did it to some part, but as we speak, those we don't have them anymore.
Oh,
So
they
that's where
used to be there, but they're no longer there, or they just were never there. Do you know?
they used to be there. Some are not operating. They need a lot of repairs.
I see.
So that's another big challenge.
Ah. So this is a fascinating conversation, and we're going to have more of them. To end today's conversation, I just wanted to learn a bit more about where you live in Tanzania. So you said you live in a slum. Um, why did you choose to
Yeah, I
live
live in
there, or
Islam in Dar es Salaam.
yeah, so did you choose to live there, or what? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I personally chose to live there, but it's also about, according to the report, I told that 49% of Tanzanian, according to international poverty line, they are living below 1.9 US dollar per day. So I'm now among that group. So the only place I can live very peacefully is the slums that I can manage to pay to meet my daily expense. I can move to those places, but it's a bit expensive because at the end of the day, I will hit the wall.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much, Freddie. Today we're running out of time, but I hope we'll have many more discussions, and
Okay.
it was really lovely to speak to you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to have you.